Hi, I'm Randy Robison, Live Today TV, digital edition right here, and I have Benjamin Watson. That probably rings a bell for a lot of you guys. Patriots, Browns, Saints, and now the Baltimore Ravens tight end. Good to have you, man.
Man, great to be here.
I always love having a little different. I just enjoy having athletes on there. I'll be honest about
football,
that. Yeah. So let's start by talking a little football because some people are probably like, yeah, where has he been? Because last season, you were, it's your 2-year contract, your second year of your contract, but you didn't play the first year.
Yeah, it's amazing in football. When you're not playing, people think you're retired. So sometimes I go places and they're like, oh, you retired? Then you're like, no, I just got hurt. It happens.
Yeah.
But I tore my Achilles last year and been rehabbing all year. It was very tough. We moved from New Orleans up to Baltimore when I signed there, and then in preseason, tear my Achilles. That's a year career. It can be a career-ending injury for some. It's definitely a year-ending, injury. So my goal now is to come back and play and finish up my contract there. So I'm doing well. I'm 7 months into rehab.
Good.
Everything's looking good.
So,
yeah, even for an old guy, I'm doing pretty well at my rehab. So
season time, we'll see you back out there throwing up some good numbers, right?
Definitely.
Cool. You've been a little outspoken on different issues. I don't think it's a big secret that you're a Christian.
Yeah.
What's that like being in the pros at that level and kind of being outspoken?
I've gotten a lot of support.
Good.
And I think that the great thing is that what you tend to realize is that people want to hear truth. They want to see someone that's willing to speak truth. And there are a lot of believers in the NFL, just like in any line of business. I mean, I always tell people that we have probably about the same percentage of believers as there are if you go to any company around the country. It's probably about the same amount. But a lot of times what happens is you feel like you're the only one. And what I've seen is a lot of men have said, I appreciate what you said, and it's given me more courage, especially now being an older player in the league.
Yeah.
I may not have been the same way when I was a younger player, but understanding now that there's an opportunity to leave somewhat of a legacy in the NFL, and really using whatever God has given me as far as the platform goes for younger players, but also people outside of the game, to spread His word and tell people about Him, and to address the culture from a biblical worldview.
Yeah, no, I also think it's good. You've already earned the respect on the field, and I think that opens up the platform that they'll actually listen to you a little more than
of course.
You're rookie, you're coming in preaching.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, there's a way you do things.
Yeah.
There's a way you do things, and I say, Lord, you give me another year. I'm not only going to play to the best of my ability for whatever team that I'm on. I'm going to perform on the football field, but also if you open up a door for me to tell someone about you, or for me to address the culture in a way that glorifies you, then I'm going to do that, understanding that everybody may not agree with me, but what I do want people to do is understand that, or at least feel that I'm being genuine and respectful, whether they agree with me or not.
What about those that don't agree with you? Have they accepted you? Have they said, I don't agree with you, but I respect you? Or have you gotten some?
I've gotten that before.
Yeah.
I've had conversations with guys in the locker room, and we at the end of the conversation, we don't agree on whatever you name it, because the other misconception is that all we do is talk about football now. Football is a huge part of it, but there's a lot of other time where we talk about other things, current events. We had a big, election last year, which brought up a bunch of different events, whether it be immigration or abortion or race or employment, education. There are a bunch of different things that everybody was talking about, and we were no different in the locker room. Social media, I think, is an avenue that allows people to state their feelings sometimes without any consequence. And so sometimes I do run into people on social media that aren't very pleased with something that I've said, and they're entitled to their opinion. You always have the opportunity to either not look at what they say or block them or respond in a kind or a mean way. But that's kind of the world we live in now.
Yeah. Let me ask you about your family, because we were talking before, and you got wife, 5 kids so far.
Yeah, so far.
So far. How tough is it to be a dad? Because I should mention, I want to mention, your new book is called The New Dad's Playbook.
Yeah.
And that's available right now. That's obviously, it's not just a big deal in our country, with the divorce rates and the guys leaving and all that stuff, but it's got to be a little bit of a challenge to be, a football player and be a dad at the same time, because, man, training camp comes around.
Yeah, well, the great thing about football, though, and I've always said that when I get done playing football, I'm going to miss the big chunks of off time. And so with football, there are very intense times. Training camp, you're away. I mean, you're going from early in the morning to late at night. If you're doing training camp in the city where you live, then you may see the kids for 5 minutes after practice. But if not, if you go away, you don't see them. But during the regular season, we have a pretty regular schedule. You know, we're coming in at 7:30 in the morning. We're going home at 5 like everybody else that works. When we travel 8 weekends out of the year, out of the regular season, 8 away games, 8 home games. And so there's also, you know, there's obviously a bunch of other things taking care of your body that you have to do. But I would venture to say it may be comparable time-wise to a lot of other men that are working.
Yeah.
So whether you're in the NFL, whether you're not, you know, being a father is something that you have to have as a high priority. And when you're present physically, the big thing is you got to be present there spiritually, mentally, emotionally.
That's key.
And that's where dads, I believe, sometimes, that's where I've messed up before. I've been in the same vicinity as my family, but my mind is on football. My mind is somewhere else. My mind is thinking about what's going to happen next. And my wife and my children need me to be fully devoted while I'm there. They understand if I've got to go do this or that. But then I have those times in football where we've got, you know, a month or two where I have no responsibilities. And we can have vacations together, and I can help with the homeschooling, which is what I did this year while I was hurt. I was teaching them how to read. Like, I have so much respect for my wife now, having to do homeschool. But, you know, while I was there, you know, you got to be present. So that's key.
Yeah, that is huge because that's real easy, I think, for guys to slip into, especially when you work all day, you come home, you just want to relax.
Exactly.
But you're right, you have to be intentional about connecting with the family.
Yeah, and realizing that your role is very important. You know, one thing I talk about in the book is just that, you know, a lot of people don't have dads. I mean, we're in a situation in this country where a third of our kids are growing up without a father. And then there's other kids that are growing up with maybe a man in the house, but maybe he's not paying attention to him. Maybe he's abusive. I don't know. But we all have certain wounds from our fathers. And just because it wasn't demonstrated to you, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to follow in that same pattern.
Absolutely.
You have what it takes.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, being an NFL player and being in a locker room with, you know, 60 other guys for the last 13 years, I've run into a lot of guys, and now I'm kind of the old guy because I've been married for 11 years and I got five kids, so they're like coming to me for advice.
Really?
And one of the things that I always tell them is, you know, you have the power to really set the course for this child with their self-esteem, with their, you know, spiritually as a man. You are their first encounter with what they'll think that God, their Father, is like.
You're right about that.
And we're not going to do it perfectly at all. But what a tremendous honor to usher them into that, and what a tremendous responsibility.
Yeah, it is huge. Is that the thing that kind of made you start thinking about putting a book together? Was all the
It was actually
the
my
younger...
wife. My wife has been telling me, you need to write a book for young dads. Really, you need to write a book for young dads so they can help these young moms.
Oh, yeah.
So there's an ulterior motive, I think, there. You know, wanting to get support from moms.
There's a lot of books for new moms.
Of course.
I don't know. Are there that many for new dads?
Not that we've looked for. And so, you know, the focus on child rearing and pregnancy and what your body goes through, rightly so, is on women because their bodies are changing.
Every man should be warned.
Exactly. So they need, you know, obviously that support.
Yeah.
But this book specifically, the New Dad's Playbook, is kind of to take dads through that journey as well and to prepare fathers, whether it's your first kid or your second or third kid, to prepare fathers with some things that you may not know about what's happening with your wife internally, hormonally, how the baby is developing in there.
Yeah.
How can you support her? How can you make her feel sexy through this thing? What do you do when she has morning sickness and you don't know how to solve it? What are some times where you just need to shut up and hold her? And what are some times where you need to speak words of affirmation to her or do acts of kindness or whatever it may be for her? How do you navigate that? You know, when I had my first child, my daughter Grace is 8 years old now, so 8 years ago, you know, we had her, and I'm the oldest of 6 kids. I've been around babies before, but it's a whole nother thing when it's your child.
Yes,
you get you have a baby, and they give you more directions for like putting together a baby swing than for raising the child. They just let you go, you know, with this kid, and you're responsible for this kid.
Right.
And so my hope is that the New Dad's Playbook will be, you know, kind of a go-to handbook for dads to be educated on what's happening, empowered that they can do it. You know, and just encourage in their journey of not only these first steps of fatherhood, but also these first steps of the change in their relationship with their wives.
That's good stuff. I would ask, where were you when I started having kids? But you were in like junior high.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but
Yeah,
that's
I
a
was
great
junior high.
idea because I tell you what, you're so right, man. When this starts happening, you're like, what the heck have I gotten myself into?
Exactly.
And you don't know what to do, and
Yeah.
you don't know what's going on with. And that's good. Good stuff. Check out Benjamin Watson's new book. If you're a dad or you know somebody that's going to be a dad, man, perfect timing. And follow Benjamin on. Can they follow you on Facebook and Twitter
Facebook,
and
Twitter, all that social media stuff,
Instagram and all that good
of
stuff?
Course, the BenjaminWatson.com is my website.
Okay.
And then Benjamin S is in Seth. People say S is in Sam. For me, it's S is in Seth. So
okay.
Benjamin S. Watson is my Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all that good stuff.
Cool. Check it out. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
If you want to hear more from this man, you can see him on Life Today, 2 shows. Those are available at lifetoday.org. Thank you for watching and sharing this interview. Be sure to check out the social media for Life Today Television, and you can connect with me on Facebook and Twitter. And if you haven't already subscribed or followed this channel, do it now so you can see more of our great guests.